Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. Season 40, War number 9, we're taking on Matrix. This is an alliance that we've lost to the past 2 seasons, and we are in desperate need of a win right now after 3 consecutive losses. Team today, Absorbing Man, Galan, and Human Torch, making his attacker debut for me, at least at this level. Alright, first up we have a fight that I've taken at least once before, including this season I think, a Surfer on Node 6. Going to go in here with Galan. This is a bit of a slower fight with Galan than you would normally have against pretty much any other defender on this node. And that's because Surfer doesn't have guaranteed access to armor ups. He will cycle through those buffs, of course. So you're not going to be ramping up quickly via electric defense and spaced armor like you would be against somebody like SKRULL or even like Colossus, who I've seen on this node as well. And then kind of to make matters worse, in air quotes, worse, Galan is a tactic attacker, so you're going to be neutralizing and fate sealing all of Surfer's buffs anyways as you're ramping up. So just a bit of a slower fight, not really dangerous at all here. I think right here I push into a special 2 and then take the special 2 on the block, and then I miss a parry right afterwards. So RIP, finishing this fight with a yellow bar, unfortunately. And we're just going to get one more parry, trigger the harvest, and down he goes. So again, really simple fight with Galan. Moving on, we have another fight that I've taken a bunch of times this season. We got a TERRAX on node 20. Going to pretty much ignore Strike Counter Fury here. I did trigger the combat regen boost, and I did double check that there was no heal block on this node, so, you know, it's the minor victories, right? We're going to play Stun Immune, of course, to avoid Masochism. Spaced Armor doesn't apply, so we're just trying to keep him in the rock field for pretty much the whole fight. And then we're in Magma for the energy resistance. And then we're going to get the special 2 off, and that's going to do our big damage here. So he was playing very cooperative with the heavies, so I only got 2 flourishes up, but it doesn't really matter. So finished that fight with much more health than I usually do, so I may use that boost in the future. Okay, up in Section 2, on Path 1 here, we have an Absorbing Man on Node 30. Going to go in here with Torch and the pre-fight. I actually was given the option for this fight to bring in Anti-Venom instead of Torch. But I was traveling, staying with my sister the past couple days, and I knew that Torch would be faster, especially since I was limited on time. So in the future, if I was on my normal schedule, I absolutely would have used Anti-Venom, since he would turn off the unblockable and the regen in this fight. Other than that, it's pretty much a nothing fight, just heavy counter, his specials, of course. You notice I'm holding on to my specials, and this is because I assumed at some point in the fight that I would be triggering the unblockable, and if I needed to bail myself out or push him to his special 1 with my special attack, I wanted to have that special kind of banked for myself. Thankfully, with Mystic Dispersion, it's really easy to keep him at least at a bar of power, so I triggered the unblockable there. I have my special 2, I'm just holding on to it just in case. I actually don't think I end up using any special attacks in this fight either, so he kills himself with a Power Sting pretty much right here, I think. Power Sting plus a Nova Flame, there we go, and he drops. So another, pretty easy fight. Would have taken a little bit longer with Anti-Venom, but it is what it is. Okay, this next fight is a bit of a mess and almost ends in disaster here. We have an Annihilus on node 40. Going to go in here with Absorbing Man. So I don't give up a death on this fight, but watching it back a few times now, it certainly looks like I tried my hardest to do so. And I'm going to kind of talk through exactly what I'm doing wrong here. So to start, I am not taking enough hits on the block in order to keep my forms paused from the armor breaks that Annihilus gives you. And, Carl reduces the duration of unstoppable buffs, so you don't really have to worry about that at all against Annihilus. So instead, I'm trying to dex his specials, which is triggering Buffet way too often. We're 30 seconds in, and I've effectively done no damage here. I finally get a decent special 1 off in our refined Uru form here, and I think I get another one here. So at this point, I'm realizing kind of what I'm doing wrong, and I'm trying to recover here. Taking these specials on the block instead of dexing. Right there, I did dex the last hit there. I'm not really sure why. The other thing that I kind of forget about doing in this fight is clearing Annihilus's flourish buffs, and part of that is on me for sure, but Annihilus is typically extremely aggressive, of course, so the opportunities to hit into his block are few and far between here. So I'm just trying to stick with it, hoping that within the next 4 minutes I can do enough damage to get him down. It doesn't look like I'm going to. He's got 10 flourish buffs, so I switch tactics, switch into Magma, and do a butt ton of damage, but it pushes him red. And if you've noticed already, I already used up all of my indestructible charges on taking stupid hits previously in the fight. So at this point, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't have any resistances here. I am almost dead. And yeah, so it's time to clench up here and finish this fight. So I'm still in magma form, so I'm doing the extra energy damage, not applying the incinerates because he's immune. And I come out of here by the skin of my teeth here. So yeah, that was a super annoying fight, but I misplayed it horribly, and I'm very fortunate that I didn't die there. So okay, next up we have a Super Skrull on node 46. This was originally going to be either me with Galan or a CGR. The CGR was almost dead, so I had no problem going in here and taking this fight. We are going to be triggering Never Back Down, the regen from that node, a lot. Doesn't matter because one harvest is going to kill him at full health, so we can pretty much ignore that. We can pretty much ignore sloped armor as well. And we're going to be ramping up very quickly since Super Skrull has access to a lot of armor. You can see we're 30 seconds-ish in here, and we're already roughly halfway to max ramp. The only other thing you kind of have to be worried about in this fight, against Super Skrull in general, is of course the falter. So I like to trigger the falter purposely while I'm kind of in the middle of the special one. I've talked about doing that before. Now at the end of the fight we are close to triggering the falter debuff on ourselves again, and I couldn't remember off the top of my head while I was in the fight is if you miss with the hit of the special one that ends the harvest, if the harvest damage still happens, and rather than just kind of YOLO it and take a guess, you're going to see me specifically parry and then trigger the falter and wait till it's off and then trigger the harvest and go for the special one. So just, maybe not necessary, but definitely the safer play there. And then the harvest ends the fight. So pretty easy with Galan. Last fight of the war for me, speaking of easy Galan fights, is this PENI Parker up on node 53, so we can't parry her at all here. Start of the fight, she punches right through my block. Have no idea what happened there. I was blocking, and then suddenly I wasn't blocking, but I guess that's what happens sometimes. So we won't have any access to our special attacks in this fight because of Polka Dot Power. So we're going to trigger the harvest by heavy countering her special one, as soon as we are max ramped. And then, because we can't force end the harvest early, we're actually just going to let it expire naturally, and that's where we're going to get all of our damage from. So the harvest takes about 14 seconds to expire, and while it's running, we can just, hit into her normally, do additional amounts of damage, and hopefully the harvest will end up killing her. It doesn't, by the way. It leaves her at like 1%, so we do end up having to do an extra combo at the end of the fight. So other than that, we're hitting into her block naturally, just as part of the way we want to play PENI Parker, especially with Galan. So the flourish buffs that she's getting from hitting into our block as we bait out heavies are going to be not a problem at all in this fight here. So we are almost at max ramp here, so I'm pushing her to the special one, and then I'm going to heavy counter it here. One more. Okay, there we go. So now we're baiting out the special one here, just kind of taunting her by hitting into her block. There we go, backing off, heavy. All right, so now harvest is triggered. We have max mass, and we are just waiting it out. 14 seconds, so as long as we don't, take a full couple combos into specials, this is pretty much a done deal here. The timer is about to go off, and boom, there we go. So a couple hits after that, and she goes down. Pretty easy fight. We did end up taking the W in this one. This one felt pretty good, especially since we lost to Matrix the last 2 seasons. It was also one of our best performances as an alliance of all time. Only 1 death across all 3 battle groups, so really, really proud of everyone for their hard work. 6 kills, 0 deaths for me this war, and our record with this much-needed win has improved to 5-4. Folks, if you enjoyed this, let me know by hitting that like button, and as always, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next time.